Welcome in, everyone. I'm Heather Hawkins with the South Carolina American Revolution Sestercentennial Commission. If you are on this call, congratulations, you are a grantee. So that means you have a project going, and we're very excited about all the things happening across the state. And you should have received with your, if you're a brand new grantee just approved, we'll get your contract to you soon. Once we have that state vendor number, we'll get you submitted to finance for your first payment. Now that we're spending the people's money, let's do so responsibly. And we're going to talk about the reports that are due with a grant. The first report, just a plain status report. This just makes sure that you're on target to get everything done on time, that you have, if you have any questions or need any assistance from us, that's what those general status reports are. Those are your responsibility to complete, and we'll go over kind of timing of when those come. The site visits are up for us to schedule. So Parina probably will be the one to reach out to you. She's on our call today. She's our grants assistant, and she will reach out to you and say, let's set up a time to do a site visit. Does not have to be in person. It can be a Zoom call check-in, but we like to just make sure we're on target. Final report. This will be how you get your last 20% of your grant. We'll include financial receipts, proof of deliverables, marketing, measurement of success will all be on that final report. And again, it is due to you guys to do that report. Everything has to be completed in the Web Grants program, and we're going to do a demo of that in just a moment. Save your receipts, please save your receipts. And if you can, we encourage you to scan those in as you go so you don't lose them. A reminder for budgets that there's no insurance, travel, or food that can be included, no fireworks, no drones. And make sure you're keeping proof of payment. What does that mean? Well, if you have an Amazon receipt, that is going to be a credit card receipt. So as long as it shows the credit card debit on the receipt, then you're good to go. But if you have a check that was used to pay someone, you'll need to have a copy of that check, your proof of payment. You can also have an ACH, like a direct deposit that you use. Some of our grantees use something called camscanner.com, and it's a great way to kind of keep up with those receipts as you go so you don't lose them. Document your deliverables. So read that contract. That's going to be really important to make sure you know what your deliverables are and how you can track those. Sometimes some of you may be asked to do a template, so look for that. Take photos as you go, even if it's just your organization working. Save your tear sheets for advertising. Do screenshots for digital and scan things in. Measurement of success should be spelled out again in your contract. So make sure you know what you're responsible for. Keep up with your demographics, who is served, their ages if you can. Get their social media interaction. Get your Google Analytics or website data, whatever those measurements of success that were spelled out in the contract. Make sure you're tracking those so that you can have that for your final report. One of the other things is sometimes things come up. So we understand that we occasionally have to do contract amendments. These could be extensions if you need a little extra time, or maybe you want to move one section of your budget to another section of your budget. If you have more than a 10% change from the allocations, the budget sections, then you do have to make an amendment. And we'll talk more about how to do that, how to put those requests in. Again, talk to us first before you make any major changes, and make sure you do it in plenty of time before the deadlines. Funding and basic fiscal guidance. So procurement. Everybody asks me about procurement rules. Well, you do follow the procurement rules of the grantee. So if you do not have a procurement policy, though, you can follow the state of South Carolina. We have some basic tenets of that state policy on our website that you can look at under the funding and basic fiscal guidance for grantees. So make sure that you check that out if you don't have one in your fiscal agent. And again, be prepared that the last 20% of your grant will come to you as a reimbursement. We had to fight really hard because a lot of grants are in the state of South Carolina are all reimbursements. So we knew that cash flow was a challenge for a lot of you. So the first 80% comes up front, but then we do keep that last final 20% as a a way to make sure we've gotten all those deliverables, got that final report approved, and then we'll send you the last 20%. So keep in mind that that is for your cash flow that you do need to have that 20%. Now, if it would keep you from completing your grant, we can talk about it and work with our team, but we really try to make sure that that last 20% is a reimbursement. All right, it's demo time. So I will let Parina see if do we have any chat questions yet, or before we go into our demo?
Nothing in the chat right now.
Nothing in the chat right now. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and ask a question before I get started? Okay, well then I'm going to show my screen. And we're going to go to scprtgrants.com. Again, that's PRT grants, not just PRT.com. And I'm going to sign in as an external user so it's the same view that you guys have. And if you need someone else to work on your, I do want to mention this, if you do need someone else in your organization to work on these status reports, you can have them register and then let me know and I can add them to the grant, but they have to be manually added to the grant for them to be able to see it when they sign in. So I am going to look under grants for my demo. And I always have to look back at Charles Baxley, our first founding chairman. And I use his county, his pretend county, as our sample test county. So we've got a grant here for a play during Carolina Days. Rise and Fight Again is the name of it. And we made that up. So we're going to take a look at a couple things first. Can everybody see am I sharing my right screen here? Let's see. Yeah. The first thing I always try to do before working on my status reports is look back at my contract. And you can see that it's the second tab. You hover over something, anytime it turns green, you can click anywhere on there and slide down to take a look at this grant application. This is actually the contract, excuse me. And you have expected outcome right here. So these are your deliverables. A completed play. We're going to do peer review, a mini exhibit, web pages, and a video. So all of those things have to be documented in our report. We also look down here for our success will be measured. These are our measurements. We're going to look at attendance, keep attendance. We're going to do media coverage, social media, participation, clicks on the web pages, feedback from participants. So those are the things I'm tracking. It's all spelled out, again, in your contract, and this is taken straight from your application. So let's go ahead now that we've looked back at our contract. I'm going to look under my status reports. Now we're going to start with our semi-annual report. So we try to build these in for you in the system. Parina's great about it. Thank you, Parina. If you don't see them listed, let us know and we can let you know when those are. But they should be already generated under status reports for you. And if not, again, check with us. So we're going to look at first at our semi-annual report. This one's due on May of 2026. We're going to go ahead and get it done early. So, all right, we're going to edit. And just like the application, we're going to have sections, and we're going to mark as complete and submit just like we did with the application phase. So we have our general information, and then we have our status report version 2. This has our questions on here. All right, let me move this out of the way and edit my form. So this checklist is just a reminder of all the things that you should be doing while you're working on your grant. So have you reviewed the deliverables list in your contract? Yes, we did. Did we review our measurement of success? Yes, we did. If you have interpretation, design work, or publication a website, have you sent it for peer review before production? So always leave time in your schedule to send things to peer review before they go into production. So we will say yes that we have sent it for peer review. Have you taken pictures? Are you collecting proof of any publicity, press releases, social media? Are you matching your timeline from your application? So far, we're good. All right, are you collecting receipts, including invoices and proof of payment? Yes, we're keeping all our receipts and that proof of payment. We've spent, we're going to say, about $4,500 so far of our budget. And we are not adjusting anything, so we don't need a contract amendment. So scope of work, we're going to say that the script is written and auditions are being held. We're going to measurement of success. We had 38. One of the things we're tracking is the number of participants. We'll have 38 people came to auditions, and media sponsors, because we're looking at that too, are coming in. Okay. So we're tracking media sponsors, success or challenges. Success, we're going to have lots of material for the play has been discovered by our Baxley College professionals. And then challenges, gathering enough volunteers. That's always a challenge, right? Gathering enough volunteers. So those are your challenges. It can be that simple of a report on these status reports. Save the form, mark it as complete. It now has a submit button. Once you hit this red button, there's no editing. And we have now completed our first status report. It's now submitted. So the semi-annual reports are very easy to complete. What's a little more difficult are these final reports. So let's take a look at that. Now this one I filled out some stuff in advance because I knew it was going to take a while. These are a little more in-depth. But if I'm doing all those steps that we talked about a moment ago, we'll have no problem filling this out. So the narrative, let's go into the narrative. So since I've looked, and I'm going to edit my form. Since I looked at my deliverables, I knew they were labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I did on my report is mimic that. So I have 1, play was held during Carolina Days. 2, peer review was conducted by local historians. 3, an exhibit was put up in the theater lobby. 4, web pages were created for more information. And 5, recording is now on the museum's YouTube channel. Done. Then a template was not required for this example, but we would remind that all partners are essential and bring everyone along on the journey. A good tip for your fellow grantees is leave plenty of time for peer review of materials. Measurement of success, again, labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on our contract. So I'm going to label my responses in my report the same way. Total attendance was 6 performances was 1125, special school performance for 400 students. These media came out and did interviews. We were on the local radio. Social media impressions were 12.5 thousand, community members volunteered, 35 community members volunteered with the production. So I need to change that last report. But anyway, 5 web pages received 25,400 clicks. Attendees responded favorably and asked that the production be done annually or at least every other year. So for each one of our measurements, we answered and said and responded and put in the information that was needed for that. Now I'm going to show you that each section here, if you save your form, when you scroll, it always takes you to the top, and you're going to scroll down, and then you suddenly see this section that has the paper clip. So now I'm going to back up all those things that I talked about by having these attachments. So here is a copy of our social media and website analytics printed out in a PDF. Note they are all PDFs. That makes me so happy to see PDFs. They're so much easier to manage. Those and JPEGs for photos. So this is a photo of the lobby exhibit. This is the playbill and the script, and these are some screenshots of the web pages. So I am documenting my deliverables in my attachments here. So this is where this is where I really go to see what we have for our final report. It's great to see things attached that follow those deliverables. Now, my next section is about publicity. So I'm going to say, and when I edit, I can write in my little box, see attached press release, which ran in several local papers, including the Baxley Times. Ads ran on the radio and social media boost. Posters attached will we'll put up around town. So I attached my screenshot of the cast, the publicity shot of the cast, my poster, my press release, my social media screenshots are all attached. And again, we have to be in saved mode to be able to see the attachment sections. All right, I'm going to go back to edit my form. Again, it takes me to the top and scroll down for my next section. All right, and it's my timetable. So this shows you what your timetable was in your application. So the next question is about benchmarks, and auditions took a little longer than we expected, but the production was held on schedule. So this is just responding to this. Did we follow our benchmarks that we said we were going to follow in our application? And then here's a section where we have the public served with the public funds. We had 400 fourth graders, and we had unknown people of all ages attending the play, 1125 here. So we have those numbers. And then one more tip on demographics. They advertise the play in Black churches to help bring in a more diverse crowd. I don't know, whatever you want to add, whatever other additions that you want to make sure you share with the reviewers, please do so there. And if you'll see, if I save my form, again in save mode, I can scroll down and I now see my paperclip sections. There's my publicity section. And if I keep going to the very bottom, there's an add any other additional attachments. So this is our narrative section, questions and attachments. Please don't put your receipts on this section. We're going to get to receipts in just a minute. So you can either hit next here because I've already marked this as complete. So you can see when I go to my next section, this is expenses. Now I'm going to try to shift and show you, see if it'll let me bring this up. Let's see. There we go. So I have prepared, and I'm going to share this with you guys. I'll send this to you. The receipts are a lot, and it can be very cumbersome when you have a lot of receipts. And so Karina and I have created this Excel spreadsheet that helps us, and I think would help you guys as you're going to figure it out. Note that we have categories, just like we have categories on your budget that you applied. And so I have put the personnel that was $500 on the application money. That's what we said we were going to spend. And then supplies and materials, we said we were going to spend $6,250. And then on contractual, nothing on equipment, and then contractual, we're going to spend $2,050. So each section I have my receipts totaling, and at the very bottom we see that I spent $10,714, which is, with the grant amount being $10,300, I actually spent more money. I spent $414 of in kind or in cost share. So you weren't required to have cost share, but you spent a little more money, so you're documenting it. So this is a great way. I'm using this spreadsheet. I see that I have overspent in two categories. I've overspent in supplies and in other. Now, this does not mean that we're going to send you extra money. This just means that I'm documenting that we have a match, that we spent a little bit more of our own money. So I'm going to I'm going to move this over, and then I'm going to try to switch back to my screen here. And there we go. We're now in our expenses section. Now, a lot of people reach out to me saying that they have trouble getting it to save. And more than likely, what has happened is that you have overspent too much, more than 10% change in a category. If that is the case, then we do need to go through a contract amendment, and we can usually get those approved. But there is a process if you do find that you have overspent too much in one category. Not line item. You can overspend in a line item and it's no problem, but it's the categories. So personnel, supplies, equipment. Those categories or allocations, if you go over 10% change, then it will give you a red line. And I'll show you if I put in $8,000 there, then if I try to save, it's going to give me a value that says that the value is too high. So in that case, just reach out to me and we'll figure out how to update your budget in the system and get it approved by Molly to make changes between sections. But again, no additional money, but if you can move those around, we just need to get that approved. Now, if I go back to my spreadsheet, I see that I spent $6,250, but I also spent a little more. I spent $164 extra. So I'm going to put this over here in the match column. Down here, I spent, let's see, contractual. I spent exactly $20.50. In the other category, there it is. Okay. In the other category, I spent $1,500, but I also spent an additional $250. So you want to match these up because you want these numbers down at the bottom to be the same when you hit save. So if you've overspent in you can see, well, that didn't come out right, did it? Hold on a second. Oh, I know what I did. Okay. And I forgot I have $500 in this first category. And that's a good question is if you do have administrative overhead, you can document that with hours worked, or you can also send an invoice for those hours, and that will suffice for a receipt. Now I see that this is matching. I see that I have an additional $414 that we paid of our own money, and we have the report matching now. And then our last section is receipts. So I attached my spreadsheet because that's really helpful to Farina and I when we review these. And here's my big tip. Scan all of your receipts and your proof of payment in one scan, and you only have to upload it once. Yay. I only have to download it once. Yay. So we encourage you to do that if you can. If you can scan them all into one package, that's awesome. If not, that's perfectly fine too. But you'll see, you'll have report. You need to make sure that you're matching up invoices and proof of payment. I've got everything on here, so I'm going to mark this as complete. It takes me back to my components. Ooh, I forgot to mark as complete my expenses. So I'm going to go back to that section, mark it as complete. And now I have all my check marks, just like my application. I now have a submit button, and I'm going to submit. And you'll now see the status reports are both in submitted. If by chance you do need a contract amendment, you need to change one allocation to another in a budget, you need an extension, please do that in advance. And you go into your contract amendments and you add an amendment. You decide whether or not it's a budget, project revision, or contract extension. So we're going to say, please extend or extension to May 2017. And we're going to, in our comments, say that flooding at the venue caused postponement of the play. Please extend final report to May of 2027. Mark it as complete. You now have 2 check marks. Submit your status report, submit. You now have a contract amendment that is submitted. It does have to be officially approved by our CEO, but normally we don't have a problem getting those done. So it's just good to communicate with us and let us know. And you can even drop us an email if you'd rather to chat with us and make sure that we're on the same page with you. Okay, so that's a look at, let's see, let's go back to report list. So we've got contracts, we've got status reports, and we've got contract amendments, all under your grant. And that's all I have for that. I'm going to go back to sharing my PowerPoint if I can. Does anybody have any questions while we're still in the system?
We have a question on the chat.
Okay.
If you overspend, can you place it in the match column and not get into revising the budget?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you overspend in one section and it's just you're spending your own money, just put it in the match section. If you're overspending one section and you're moving it from another section, so you're going to decrease another section and increase one allocation. If it's less than 10% change, you don't have to worry about it. If it's a more than 10% change between the allocations, then that's when you need to do the contract amendment. Does that make sense? Okay. All right.
I had a
Oh,
question,
yeah.
Heather. Hey,
Sure. Hey, Winnie.
when you say the peer review,
Mm-hmm.
we are working with our previous script that
Mm-hmm.
we use for Freedom Fighters.
Sure.
We're making adjustments and additions to that. When we get that done, as far as the script itself, is that what you're looking for to come in for a peer review?
Yes, and we can talk more offline because
Okay.
I know that Chris has some stipulations about some of that, but we can. Yes, we would love to have a copy of the script as something that can be reviewed prior to the production. So we didn't do that for the last one, but if you have like a rough cut of the video, that also would work. You can send us the rough cut and before it goes out to the public.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint then, unless anybody has any other questions. Let's see if I can pull up my PowerPoint. All right. And I think I can do from this slide. So one of the things to remember, if you are getting ready for another application, is always make sure you obviously are a grantee, so you've got an application in the system. If you're getting ready for another one, make sure you're copying your existing application and not starting from scratch. So just some advice as you move on to your next grant. And here are the deadlines that we have coming up for the next couple months here in this fiscal year. We have monthly grants, which are up to 15,000, and those are next deadline is October 1st. Major and premier project grants, we have September 26th. Those are the 15 to 125 for the major, and then above 125,000 for premier projects. And of course, this will be a recording on our webinars page, so you can check that out and you can schedule a one-on-one with me if you have any questions about your reports or just want to check in about your grant. We'll be glad to help you. And again, Parina is also available at grants@southcarolina250.com, or you can reach out to me at hhawkins@southcarolina250.com. And of course, Molly, if you're interested in talking to our CEO, who's um, gotten to be pretty versed in web grants herself. So, all right, that is all I have for today's demonstration. Does anybody else have any questions about doing their reports or their grants in the grant system? Crickets. I think that I did a good job then, right?
Heather, I do have one question.
Sure, go ahead.
So if you applied for a grant, I think the next 15, a monthly grant was October 1st. Like when, is it a month later that you find out whether you get that or not?
We do our best to try to let you know by the first week of the next month for the
Okay.
monthly grants. Sometimes it gets bumped depending on what else we're working on, and how much due diligence questions that our review team has. We sometimes have, we don't like to say no. We like to see if we can dig a little deeper and get to where we can say yes. But we try to do it by the first week of the next month, let you know something. For the premier and major, those take a little longer because they do have to go before the full commission, or the executive committee, depending on how much they are. And that means that it may be, 3 months before you have an answer because we've got to wait on a commission meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
From the chat, we have someone asking about peer review if their project is a music concert.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, peer review would be if you are for music. I guess we could listen to it and see if it sounds appropriate. It depends on what your goal is. If it is music that is supposed to be a time period, sound like it's from the time period, or if it is a new musical being written about someone from that time period, what other collateral are you involving? Is there a set? Is there a presentation that goes along with the storyline, costumes, anything else that goes with the production that might need to be reviewed, just to make sure it's period correct would be great. Okay. All right. Well, this is the fastest we've ever done this. Y'all are great.
Along those same lines of the peer review question.
Okay.
Our project was a mural that was painted on the wall.
Yes.
Now we did get council to approve the mural, and we had our Battery Gadsden local historian approve the mural, but I don't know that those are necessarily peers reviewing it, because
Right.
mural artists, and I don't know if that's something of a concern or not.
we, the paint's on the wall already, so we can make some exceptions, but we would prefer to have seen in the final draft before it went up. We have crossed that, we've passed that moment. We also really encourage community involvement and review of projects. So that's a bonus as well if you have that.
So we did do that when
Okay.
this went to the council and was reviewed in that public sphere.
Well, I would just document all the people that did review it in your final report, and that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a question about peer review. Is that peer review as determined by the composers, as in the case with Herb and I, or is that peer reviewers, I should say, as determined by the commission?
So you can have your own peer reviewers. We encourage that. But people that you consider experts in the field of that you're studying. But it's no charge to the grantee. The commission has our own historian on staff that reviews all material, just to give one more set of eyes to look over before it goes out. So that's why we encourage that. Leave time for that. He does a great job turning it around, but please leave time for that when you before you go to production.
Beautiful. Thank you. Great answer.
Yep.
What would be the average lead time for something like that?
I try to give him 2 weeks at least.
Okay. Is that the same person that does the signs for the SC, or?
It's the same person that reviews interpretive panels. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right. And again, the peer review is at no additional charge to you guys. That's something we cover. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm excited about all these different things that are going on across our state. I hope you are. You are really getting the work done in the communities, and you make us proud. So thank you for all you do. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.